Hi, we're here with Becky Wilkes from 20 Stories. Becky, welcome to IGM.
Thank you.
Becky, who are you and what do you do?
My name's Becky Wilkes. I am the Senior Sales and Marketing Manager of the North for D&D London. So it's a huge company across, well, it's worldwide now.
Right.
So we've got restaurants in London, Leeds, New York, Tokyo and Paris. So I oversee the North, so I've got one site in Manchester which is 20 Stories, and I've got 4 sites in Leeds. So I've got Craft House, Angelica, Isho and East 59th in Leeds. So yeah.
59th floor? Or?
No, it's not. Don't worry, I know you're scared of heights. It's not the 59th floor. It's actually the 5th floor. And they've all got rooftop terraces like 20 stories. So yeah, not as high though.
Is that the remit? It has to have a rooftop terrace?
Yeah, that's a bit of a USP for D&D really. They love a rooftop terrace, and it's kind of really lifestyle, so people can dine inside, have drinks on the terrace, and yeah, it's a bit of a USP really.
Yeah. I mean, I've experienced it myself. As you know, I'm scared of heights, and last time I had to be reversed out onto the terrace. But how do you cope with guests that come there and then think, oh dear, this is really high?
Well, we have kind of 2 things really. We've got one person that's scared of lifts, so we have to walk them up 19 flights of stairs, which is difficult. I mean, you always try and keep the polite conversation going, but come level 6, you need to concentrate on your breathing to get to the top floor. So we've got that's always, well, sometimes an issue. And then we've got the scared of heights as well, but I think the view is what people come for, and the amazing food and the atmosphere and the music. So yeah, we give them a table in the centre rather than by the window if they are scared of heights.
Yeah, and it's 20 stories, but it's 19, floor 19,
Correct,
isn't it?
Yeah.
So do you want to explain why?
Yeah, so it's 20 stories in a book, stories, rather than stories as in height. So when you dine there, there's kind of 20 stories that have gone into the making of the venue. So it might be, for example, the farm that we get our meat from. It might be the gin, what we've made it ourselves. So there's kind of 20 individual stories that have gone into the making of the venue.
All right,
Yeah.
smashing. And it's the highest restaurant in Manchester, isn't it?
It is.
So far.
So far.
So the other competitor is Cloud 23, is it? But did they actually do food in Cloud 23, or is it just drinks?
So Cloud 23 are more kind of, I'd say, afternoon tea, and they've just done, I think it's called Drunch, where it's a mix between lunch and dinner.
Right.
So they're doing like snacks and things like that. So I wouldn't really say it's a restaurant. I'd say it's more of a bar that do afternoon tea and that. Yeah.
Okay, we'll plug them when they come on then.
Don't really know
But
those.
is it 1 metre higher than?
It is, yeah. So even though 20 stories on the 19th floor, Cloud 23 is the 23rd floor, due to the structure of the building, we actually sit 1 metre higher than Cloud 23. So we are the tallest restaurant in Manchester so far, and have been for the past year and a half. So
I was just about to say, you're about 18 months old now, isn't
absolutely,
it?
yeah.
And it's still filling up, still doing well?
It is, yeah. So it's always really good. Last year we were overwhelmed with how busy we were. It was the place to be, and we were crazily busy, and to the point where it was so busy that we didn't lose control, but we were just kind of taken aback by how busy it was.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a previous year to compare to, whereas now we say, right, this time last year we did this. We know what strategies to put in place, and we know what to expect.
Yeah.
And obviously Manchester, with a rooftop terrace, it's so brave. And when I first saw all the CGIs of the venue, I was like, it's so brave for Manchester not to have a roof on a huge terrace like this.
Yes.
So it can accommodate 300 people on that terrace. And yeah, I still to this day think it is brave, but when we get a nice Manchester day, it's glorious, and it's packed from midday as soon as we open, as soon as the sun's out. And then in winter we get the snow globes out there as well. So it's always, yeah, we adapt with the Manchester weather.
I suppose the snow globes they're all on standby all the time, I suppose, aren't they?
Yeah, so we have them installed in October, keep them through till May, and then come May we just pray that the sunshine comes out and we get a nice summer, which we have done this summer and last summer.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now, can I talk to you about, which I know you for as well, Manchester Hospitality Network? Now, I'm a member of it. I found it absolutely impeccable for getting to know what's going off in Manchester. But can you tell me what it's all about And how did you start it, and who did you start it with?
Yeah, so it's made up of myself, Greg Maguire, who looks after the Revolution de Cuba group, Jake Ogden, who's from Manchester Confidential but used to be sales for Black Dog Ballroom, and Charlotte Felton from Impossible. And the way that it all came about is years and years ago, there was a Facebook group, and it was Manchester Sales and Business of Bars and Restaurants.
Yeah.
And all it was kind of business referrals, or it might have been, I don't know, The Alchemist might have put in, we've got an event tonight, we've run out of champagne flutes, can anyone help us out? So it was kind of like a bit of a network of people that just needed to help each other. Or say, for example, because it started when I was at Manchester House, so it started before I came to 20 Stories. So it might have been, I had an event inquiry for Manchester House, we couldn't accommodate it for whatever reason. So I'd post in there and say, look, I've got this event inquiry, we can't accommodate, does anyone want it, or can anyone take it? So it's kind of passing business around like that, rather than just say no to the guest, we can't accommodate it. I'd then go a little bit beyond and say, I've heard back from Gusto or Artisan at the time, they can accommodate it, would you like me to put you in touch with them? So it was a Facebook group, kind of sending business around, helping out restaurants and bars where we could, but also finding out where the networking events were taking place that week. So a lot of kind of BDMs and sales managers do have KPIs, whereas they say like you've got to attend 2 networking events a week. So you might post in there like who's going to this networking event tonight, or what's coming up this week. Yeah. So it started as a Facebook group, and Jake and Greg were the kind of administrators behind that and set everything up. Yeah. And they came to me last year and said, look, we want to formalise it a little bit. We've got so many people, and Manchester hospitality is growing every single day, that we want to be more of a support network for these people and the next generation of BDMs as well. So we established it as Manchester Hospitality Network. We did a huge launch party at Lock Hotels. That was last November-ish. And
that was busy.
Yeah, it was packed. We were absolutely blown away.
Was it 250 or 300?
It was more than that. We had about 500 people in attendance. We absolutely packed Lock Hotels out. And it was packed full of press, really, really important hospitality influencers that we've looked up to whilst we've been learning about our roles, and just supporters, which has been we've been really well received. And it's a hard thing to do for 4 people in hospitality that are so busy, that look over multiple sites, to get together just to have a meeting. It's near enough impossible. But we launched it, and since then we've done a monthly networking event. We still continue with the Facebook group in terms of business referrals, and we put on educational events as well. So last week we got together some really cool people of hospitality. So we got Tom Hetherington that does consultancy work. We got through the director of TAST. There were some really cool, amazing people, and Abby that does recruitment in hospitality from 68 people. And we just did a panel discussion about
Sean Hines.
Yeah, Sean Hines from Manchester Central.
Yeah.
And we just spoke about the kind of the future of hospitality, the issues that Manchester's facing at the moment, and it's just things for people to learn from. So yeah, that's kind of what we are. We're a support network for Manchester and people within hospitality that are from a sales, business development and marketing background.
And you said about the Facebook group there. Mm-hmm. It was about 1,200 members the last time I looked. And I remember the first time when I joined it, and I remember Manchester House, and when it closed in Artisan, and I saw people posting that we're looking for front of house and kitchen staff, and I just thought, what an amazing group, what an inspiring group that was. And so you must be really proud of what you've done.
Really good. And there's been so many closures this year in Manchester and last year, but there's been so many openings as well to kind of counteract that. It's always sad to see a restaurant close, especially Manchester House. I opened Manchester House and it was my baby, and I was really sad to see that go. But we're always there, so the minute we hear about a closure, we post, and we actually got some really nice press coverage for it as well, because we went to the press and said, these are all the restaurants that are currently recruiting. Can you post about it so that people that have just lost their jobs know where to apply for?
Right.
So yeah, when MAD closed down last year, I can't remember the percentage, but it was something crazy, like 80% of those that lost a job, MHM managed to secure them a new job.
Wow.
So yeah, we've
turned into a recruitment agency, haven't you?
Well, we work really closely with Abby from 68 People, and she specialises in hospitality recruitment. So yeah, we don't want anyone to go jobless in hospitality.
Excellent.
And that's the best thing about Manchester. Everyone looks after each other and supports each other. So
yeah. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to ask you, what types of businesses are involved with Manchester Hospitality Network? Is it just hospitality, or can anybody join, or is any specific business that you are looking for that you haven't got?
Yeah, so to be a member, we've got two categories, if you will. You've got people that are directly involved in hospitality, so that could be BDMs or marketing managers, sales managers.
Yeah.
And then you've got those that are connected to hospitality, so that might be recruiters, it might be suppliers, it might be press that focus on hospitality. So we do say there's got to be some connection, because we're not there to make money and kind of sell different ticket sales or anything like that. We're there to make sure we're targeting. We don't want to sell out, basically. We want to target all of our audience. So we say as long as there is a connection to hospitality, you're more than welcome to become a member. Yeah.
And is it the only group, Manchester Hospitality Group, in a city, or is there another one?
No, there's quite a few actually. There's the Female Hospitality Network.
All right.
There is the Manchester Hotel Association. There's quite a few really. And they do kind of, so Female Hospitality Network, I know they're over in Leeds. I think they're either up in New York. So yeah, there are quite a few, but I think they are more networking events as opposed to support and networking. Yeah.
And just going back to the membership, I know you've got the closed Facebook group, and you identify whether or not you want to accept them to join. But there's also the membership for Manchester Hospitality that you do, isn't it? So tell me about that, because there's a fee to join that, isn't there?
There is. So we do charge for the membership, but within that you get access to monthly networking events. You get business introductions. So say, for example, you were a member and you came to us and said, I really would like a business introduction to, I don't know, Greg at Revolution, and then we'll kind of put that introduction in place.
Right.
And every single member, what we ask for them is if they're happy to kind of go on our database and accept introductions.
Yes.
And one really good thing about it is, and we get this from a lot of event bookers, is we supply kind of a catalogue of what each contact from each restaurant in Manchester. So say, for example, you're a regular event booker. Rather than phoning in a restaurant directly, we'll give you kind of a phone book, if you will, of who to contact and their contact details for every restaurant in Manchester, so that there's always that point of contact to go to. And you've got the events, you've got the catalogue, you've got all of the supports and business introductions. And yeah, I think it's been received really well. But you don't have to become a member to attend the events. You can pay per event as well.
Right.
But you may as well become a member. You'll save so much money, and it's always a good turnout. The events, as I was saying earlier, you usually get the same crowd that go to a lot of networking events in Manchester.
Yeah.
But the events that we are doing, I've been in Manchester hospitality scene for about 8 years now, and the event we did last Thursday, out of 125 people, I knew about 20 people, which is crazy.
Really?
Because we're targeting people that have never been to our events before and are really keen to learn about and get involved in the industry. It's not just the same crowd that you always see at events. So yeah, we're really happy with the turnout. You're really happy.
I must admit, I went along to that and nearly got a nosebleed for being on the 44th floor. But something that was mentioned in the Q&A was about the new arena and how would that affect the city centre. Now, one of the questions I'm going to ask is how important is it to establish the other businesses that could affect the city centre, And do you ostracise any people that want to join in hospitality from outside the city centre to be a member?
Not really. So I'd say we'd look into Greater Manchester as a whole, because there's restaurants in the suburbs and Media City, and we would never say, sorry, you're not from Manchester City Centre, you can't be involved, because the more the merrier, in a sense of if we can support other people in hospitality that are from Didsbury or Old Trafford, then absolutely we'll always invite those people in, because they can learn as well. Like I said earlier, us four that are on the board, we've been in the industry for quite a long time now, and the next generation of BDMs are asking us questions from a support point of view, which is really nice.
Yeah.
I know that when I first got into a BDM role, there wasn't really many people you could learn from. I learned a lot from Lucy Noon, actually. She was kind of the BDM generation before me. And we're kind of...
Forgive me, who's Lucy Noon?
Lucy Noon. So Lucy Noon was kind of a Living Ventures legend years ago.
Right.
She was in the BDM world, but now she runs a fruit and veg company. So she's kind of... It was a family company. And she's overseeing that now. But she's kind of really known, or kind of was our go-to girl,
right.
When we were learning. So when I was in my early 20s, Lucy was the BDM of Manchester House at the time. She opened Manchester House.
Right.
She did Grill on the Alley before that. She did Hawksmoor. So she moved
Right.
around a lot.
Got you.
So now us four are kind of being that support network for the next generation of the people in the early 20s that want to get into that role. So yeah, we want to support and invite as many people as possible, really.
So you're looking at collaboration. And we talk about collaboration with IGM quite a bit. What sort of business are you looking for now? Is it just hospitality, or is it anybody, or is it anything specific?
There's not necessarily specific, as long as it's relevant.
Yeah.
And it ties in with us somehow. We wouldn't just kind of say, right, we'll collaborate with you because money reasons or anything like that. It definitely needs to be relevant. And it needs to kind of teach us something as well. So every event that we have done, we've done it at a new venue, so that we're introducing that venue into the Manchester hospitality scene. So we've done an event at Flight Club, and we were the first networking event to host at Flight Club. We did Manor Hatter before that opened, so we're getting into venues before they actually open to the public.
Right.
Last week we did the penthouse of West Tower on Deansgate, which was a 44th floor
Nosebleed.
penthouse. So we're kind of showcasing places of Manchester, because not only do these places need to be introduced, but we need to give them our support as well, and say we're here because there's so many places closing down, we'll support you and kind of give you that launch that you need. The next one we do in Three Little Words, which is the new gin distillery that's opened up just behind Great Northern. So we always want to kind of host our events in places that people have never been, just so they get a little bit more exposure from us.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And talking about hospitality, I've met a lot of people in hospitality, and they move around so much.
So much.
Why is that?
I'd say there's a lot of new openings, and a lot of headhunting goes on in Manchester.
Right.
I was talking about the stock exchange that's opening up soon, and two of in my eyes, the best concierges in Manchester are going to stock exchange.
Right.
And it's blown me away that they've been so loyal to their hotel for a long time, and they're going to stock exchange. But it's a lot of headhunting. I think there's a lot of London companies that come to Manchester, probably pay a little bit more money than Manchester companies. And it's just progression as well. I always think when you stop learning something, it's ready for a change. And I think that's probably why people do move around. Yeah.
Excellent. And so how do people get involved with Manchester Hospitality Network?
So
what's the best way?
Yeah, so we've got a website that the full membership applications on there. You can see the full catalogue of events and upcoming diary entries that we've got. We're on social media, and it's just always nice, kind of follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and head to the website.
And the website's called?
List of our upcoming events. You can see past events on there as well, and we do photo shoots at each one as well, so you can kind of see the people that are attending. And you can apply on there, the full application forms on there, and we're also on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, so everything links together. And I'd just definitely recommend having a nosy just to meet the team, see who's on the board and behind MHN, and see what we've got going on.
Plus it's on Eventbrite as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. So all the events, you can go to Eventbrite to book onto the monthly events.
And I suppose it's an insight to see what's new happening in Manchester, as in restaurants and bars as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
And it's a great insight. And anybody moving to the city, very important for them also.
Yeah, definitely.
So Becky, in terms of business development, what activities that you do that get the best results?
So business development is, a lot of people don't really understand the role of business development, I think.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I'd say the role's developed quite a lot in the past few years, and I'd say it's more of a sales and marketing role than it is business development, because when you put your sales strategy in place and your marketing strategies, that develops a business automatically. So there's so much that goes on, and I think definitely with this generation of social media, there's so much engagement that goes on online that you always need to be a part of. So all engagement on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. I'd say Facebook's dying down a little bit. Your kind of audience on Facebook now is mums on maternity leave at home or something like that. And I think Twitter is more of a corporate audience. Instagram is your next generation and your younger generation. So I'd advise any company to get involved and make sure your content is lifestyle, it's relatable, and fun. People don't want to see kind of slogans and anything too corporate, so just make it really fun and engaging. In terms of kind of business development with relationships in the city, you just need to get yourself out there. I think the days of cold calling is old fashioned these days. You need to go and visit people, and you need to establish a relationship and maintain that relationship as well. You can't just meet someone once and say, right, I know that person, now next. You need to kind of catch up with them and drop in like every single month and be like, how are you? Where have you been on holiday? And from a business point of view, people buy into the person behind the business. They don't just buy into the business, and unless you love what you do, it shows. And I've been, recruiters have come to me in the past and said, I've got this opportunity at this place, would you be interested? And it was an amazing salary, but I wasn't in love with that venue, so I couldn't develop that as a business. I couldn't sell that venue. So I think as a BDM and a sales and marketing manager, you need to be in love with the products to be able to move forward with it. And just have the relationships, know everyone in the city, and if you don't know them, go on LinkedIn Navigator, find them, invite them in, show them what you do, and just get to know them as people. Don't go in too salesy, I'd say.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about businesses opening and closing in the city centre. Do they tend to be the independents or the chains?
Either, really. I went to the Manchester Bar Awards in December, and the guys behind it, Nate and Joey, put together quite a funny poem about all the closes that have happened, with all due respect to them, but there was kind of listing, and he pulled a list out, and the piece of paper with all the closures on of that year were huge. But again, we've had openings as well. And I think a huge one for us last year was a lot of the Living Ventures ones. So it was Manchester House, it was Artisan, and there was a lot in Spinning Fields that closed as well. So that's part of Living Ventures. That is a huge group, and when Tim Bacon was here, and he was kind of, well, they called it Bacon Fields for Spinning Fields because he just kind of had so many sites. And I think it's not necessarily down to the company. It could be anything to do with the landlords. They might have upped the rent because it's a key location. It might be it could be anything. It really could be. And it could be a licensing issue. So I know Neighbourhood closed down due to a licensing issue. So It depends really. As 20 stories, one thing that we have challenged with in the past is the weather. So when it's raining, our terrace is quiet. So if you're a venue that is all outside, then you are going to be low on sales during that time.
Right.
I know some sites, for example, Artisan, that was very much a winter venue. So in summer it was quiet, whereas 20 stories is packed in summer.
Yes.
You've got things like the World Cup last year. If you're not showing the football, you're going to be quiet during that time, or anything that's going on in the world or the city, that it does affect your business massively. One thing that we really love is all the events at Manchester Central. So when conferences come to the city, we are packed all the time, and I know there's so many other venues in Manchester that really benefit from all the conferences and events. If there's a gig at Manchester Arena, then our sales are up because everyone's coming to see Ed Sheeran or whatever. So it's really it's weather dependent on business levels. It's what's going on in the city, and it is your brand really. You need to kind of promote your brand in the best way to be able to see those sales and be consistent with it as well. One thing that is a huge plus for me is LinkedIn. I get so much business from LinkedIn, and it's all dependent on your proactivity with them sales. So you're letting people know about what your upcoming activity, and have you booked for Christmas yet? I mean, we were talking about Christmas in June, which seemed really weird because it was 30 degrees and we were talking about Christmas, and it's planning ahead that keeps your business going.
And now that the fact that you're 18 months older, you've got last year's figures that you can compare with now, isn't it? So you're not cutting the cloth as such anymore, are you?
Yeah. I think a lot of people were concerned when we first opened that with us being a London company, it was going to be London prices, and it's very much operated by northern people, is 20 Stories, and I was very much involved in the strategies to make 20 Stories fit in Manchester and not be a London site that's just moved to Manchester, because we're a very stubborn city and we don't like change. We don't like people coming in telling us what to do. So I think the fact that it's run by people from Manchester, we've fit in really well and we've become a really cool place to go in Manchester. Yeah.
And speaking about London and maybe possibly London prices, I'm going to speak about the contactless. A few people in hospitality have said to me they don't get tips anymore because spend under £30 you can just do it contactless and you don't need a tip. What's your perception on that?
I've not heard that actually.
Have you not heard it?
No.
People in bars and restaurants, if it's under £30, sure it's £30.
Yeah, it is. You can tap it if it's under 30.
Yeah. So and then people just don't bother leaving a tip.
Right. I mean, I don't know what you'd get for under £30 at 20 Stories. We've never really had
ice water. Yeah, we talked about London prices, didn't we?
No, but if you come in for a meal, then generally your bill's going to be over £30. So we've not really faced that issue. I'm not sure. I can't really comment on that one just because we've not really faced it. But we'd always, there's always a discretionary service charge on all bills. So whether you're having table service on the terrace or within the restaurant, there's always a discretionary service charge. And people can say, can you take it off? And obviously we do because it's discretionary.
Yes.
But yeah, we've not faced the £30 mark.
Right. From 20 Stories and Manchester Hospitality Network, thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.